Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the grand poobah. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. This is live stream number 656. This is your first time joining me. The show is pretty much about half tabletop gaming news, and the other half of the time we're taking a look at a tabletop gaming release. So, as an example, we might unbox a board game or war game like we are tonight, or paging through a miniatures rule book, or opening a starter set, or taking a peek at a role-playing game book. We cover pretty much all the bases here. So if you are a longtime visitor, welcome back. Thank you very much. Of course, I always appreciate folks spending some time with me. It takes some effort to hang out with this knucklehead, but I really, really do appreciate everybody who tunes in both live and after the fact. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch airs live, Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know about when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of The Rat Catcher, which is from Platypus Industries. So that is on the horizon. Hopefully I'm going to get a few reviews done over the weekend and have some of those posted. The Rat Catcher being one. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, because this is a live stream, that also means that chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in, and I will do my best to respond. So far in chat, we've got John Vogel, who's here for a War Game Wednesday. That's right, because tonight I am going to unbox and take a first look at French and Indian War from Worthington Publishing. So we've got that cooking for us tonight. So kind of quiet day today. I've been trying to rock out all my gaming news that I needed to, which I think I've been able to get all set up. Plus, I've got tomorrow's show pretty much all ready to rock and roll as well. Excuse me. For some strange reason tonight, we were in the mid 80s, well, close to the mid 80s yesterday, and the temperatures took about a 30-degree tumble today, and it is strangely humid down here in the Duct Tape Studios. It's like, bleh. And I feel like you have to clear my throat. It's like, rah. A Great A has joined us in chat as well. Good to see you, Great A. All right, so I'm going to jump on into the news because we got a big show tonight. First off, Format Ferret Games is releasing a 2-player edition of The Networks. Here's what I know about the rival networks. The Rival Networks is a standalone two-player version of the Networks. Much like the original's gameplay is preserved but streamlined so that it plays in 30 to 45 minutes. You and your opponent each have a display of 3 time slots, and at the start of the game, they show your starting 3 terrible shows. There's also a goal card showing the current season with 3 goals available to hit, like winning a particular time slot or having more stars on your shows than your opponent. On your turn, you'll pick 1 new show from a display of 3 and use it to replace one of your existing shows, which moves to your reruns. You'll score rating points for the new show, scoring higher ratings if you put the show in its correct time slot. Next, you select 1 star and 1 ad from their corresponding display. Stars and ads are displayed as pairs, so when you take one, you must take its matching pair. These go into your green room. Then you may attach as many stars as you want onto a single show, usually the show you get this turn, but not always. As long as the star has an icon matching the genre of the show, stars add to your show's ratings. You'll track ratings for each of these time slots independently. There are various points on each rating track with viewer icons, usually between 3 and 5 rating points. Every time you pass one of these viewer icons, you'll score a viewer by placing a chip into your secret bank. Ads are worth money depending on various situations, usually whether you're leading in a given time slot. You'll pay the ads in order to buy network cards, which are now marked with costs. Network cards are one-time use power cards, similar to the network cards in the original game. If you ever get at least 3 shows of the same genre between your lineup and your reruns, you'll score a genre bonus. Genre bonuses are different for each genre, but usually get you stars or rating points. The deck of shows has 1 genre of each show per season. Once these are all out, you'll see an end-of-season card. A player may take this card on their turn to trigger the end of the season when their turn is over. They won't get a show, but they'll still get a full turn otherwise, taking a star in an ad, placing stars on shows, and buying network cards with ads. At the end of the season, player leading in more time slots scores 1 viewer for each time slot they're leading in. The other player draws 1 random star. Then you'll look at the current season goals. The winner of each goal gets viewers or stars, depending on the goal. The game ends after 3 seasons, and the player with more cards in their green room scores an additional viewer. Then whoever's got the most viewers, you guessed it, wins. The Rival Networks is for 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes, and it will carry an MSRP of $30 when it arrives May 19th. So Grade A's talking about kind of looks like that game, The Networks. It's because it is. It's Rival Networks. It is. A Grade A must have come in right after the news piece started because, yes, it is from same game company, and it is a 2-player edition of The Networks. Sarah D is here in chat. Beat Cafe has joined us, as has Disavowed 92. Disavowed says they're dropping in to see what condition their condition is in. I gotta say, I have heard good things about The Networks. I've never played it. I have not even seen it up close. But it seems like it'd be a pretty fun game. This is now a special 2-player edition. The art is kind of funny. I wish it had a little different art. I wish the art quality was more, as strange as this sounds, more realistic yet cartoony. I know. JP Falconer has arrived. Says one of the best parts of The Network are the humorous puns of TV show names. Yes, like we see Upton Krabby. We just saw the Red Bloods. I thought that was kind of funny as well. All right, moving right along. Yesterday, Renegade Game Studios launched a new Kickstarter, which not only immediately funded, but last I took a peek, it was at right about the 2,500% funding level. Here's the skinny on My Father's Work. The walls were lined with iron shelves, each metal slat overfilled with glass jars containing formaldehyde and grotesque curiosities within. Pristine brass tools and refined metals of a quality I had never laid eyes upon were strewn across the sturdy slabs of rock and wood, their edges sharp with use. However, my eyes were soon drawn to his sturdy writing desk, its mahogany eaves inlaid with thin strips of copper, the center of which contained a well-worn leather-bound book, my father's journal, passed down to me and representing years of knowledge and countless experiments. And inside that weathered tome, atop the pearly parchment oxidized yellow at its frayed edges, were the deliberate quill marks of a crazed genius, outlining the ambitious project he never could complete in one lifetime, his masterwork. Without realizing it, my hands were shaking as I clutched the book to my chest. At once, I felt an ownership and anxiety for the scientific sketches scrawled so eloquently on those frayed sheets. It was at that moment that I began my obsession. I would restore this laboratory to its former brilliance and dedicate my life to completing my father's work. In my father's work, players are competing mad scientists entrusted with a page from their father's journal and a large estate in which to perform their devious experiments. Players earn points by completing experiments, aiding the town in its endeavors, upgrading their macabre estates, or if you prefer, you can say macabre, and hopefully completing their father's masterwork. But they have to balance study and active experimentation because at the end of each generation, all of their experiments and resources are lost to time until their child begins again with only the journaled knowledge and estates they have willed to them. And since the game is played over the course of 3 generations, it is inevitable that the players will rouse the townfolk to form angry mobs or spiral into insanity from the ethically dubious works they've created. The player with the most points at the end of 3 generations wins and becomes the most revered, feared, ingenious scientist the world has ever known. There is a short, about 2-minute Kickstarter video for my father's work, so let's take a peek.
My father's work is a competitive Victorian-era mad scientist game where you compete to finish father's masterwork, a glorious experiment that will change the world forever, securing your legacy as the most infamous scientist of all time. Over the course of 3 generations, you will collect the ingredients you require to fuel your insidious experimentations and harnessing your new knowledge to attempt more ambitious projects, all the while careful not to incite an angry mob or drive themselves insane. As the game progresses, new locations become available, offering new decisions and interesting gameplay twists. You will need to balance completing work in your lifetime and passing down knowledge. Each time you die, you pass on your estate, any journal entries, and a single experiment to the next generation. Everything else is lost to time. My father's work is a rich, immersive story experience. The Storybook, an in-depth electronic companion app, tells a vivid tale while introducing new events and wrinkles with each play. Every decision matters, is remembered, and can take the narrative in wildly different directions. My father's work is the rich, classic mad scientist horror experience that you've been waiting for. Help us bring a new world of horror to life.
My father's work is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in around 2 hours. The project, as I mentioned earlier, has already passed, or it's right about the 2,500% funding level. You can reserve a copy of the game as well as all unlocked stretch goals for a $99 pledge through May 13th. May 13th. May 13th. The expected delivery is February of next year. This game will not be available through retail channels. According to Renegade Game Studios, the only way you're going to be able to get your hands on this game is to back the Kickstarter. And that, I believe, is also going for retailers as well. So the retailers have to back this. This will not be available through PDX or Alliance or I forget. There's like four. There's four, at least in North America. There's four relatively major distributors for tabletop gaming. And none of them are going to begin this. So there is some discussion going on right now about this Kickstarter. And I will chime in as well. So, few things that I had noticed, and I have to admit that Disavowed 92 has brought up some of my concerns as well. Before I jump into that, I do want to mention Gary Clarkson's with us. Doug Roberts has joined us in chat as well. Did I miss anybody? I think I've said hello to everyone. So the game looks interesting. The game does not look like a $100 game, at least when it first launched and they had not unlocked a bunch of stretch goals. This doesn't look like a $100 game to me. It's got 24 miniatures, but it's only 6 sculpts. So you've got 6 sculpts and it's 4 of the same sculpt. And you're going to use different colored rings to pop on the bases in order to differentiate each player's group. So there's that. I thought, okay. Because I mean, for $100, there's a lot of games out there for $100. You can get a bunch of miniatures with. And I think this is one of these, they're trying to push the whole miniature aspect of it, but it's 6 sculpts. Big deal. It's not, not knocking me out. A couple other things. Okay, so here's the biggest that I think would prevent me from backing this, as Viper Dave has popped in. It's been a while since we saw Viper Dave. This has an integrated app, and from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I could be completely incorrect on this, but from what I understand, you need to have the app to play the game. I'm sorry, but I do not. I certainly do not endorse that aspect of gaming. And here's the reason why. And you're going to have to excuse my French for a moment here. But if at any point in time that app is no longer supported, so if you have an Android update, if you have an iOS update, and that app isn't being updated along with your operating systems for your phones or tablets, and it doesn't work, then you've just got a doorstop. That's all you've got. I mean, the reality is, if that app doesn't work, you're fucked. That's how it is. And there are some games out there that have been released previously, and they have an app portion to it that you must have. And those apps are no longer any good, and those games are just nothing. You can't play it. Can't play it without the app. So, yes, Mansions of Madness is app-driven. The Lord of the Rings game, are you talking about the one that's got the minis from FFG? I don't know if that's an app, if that's app-driven. I know Descent, 2nd edition, has an app for it. But I don't think you can't, well, maybe Mansions of Madness. But I don't think the other FFG releases are useless without the app. Yeah, see, I just, So JP Phil Connor mentions that many of his Slytherin games, which are war games for the most part, were never updated, so they maintain an old iPad to keep playing them. Wow. Viper Dave mentions when Apple went to 64 bits, that hurt a lot of apps that were 32-bit. So, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from checking this game out, because I got to be honest, it does sound cool. Looks like it could be very interesting. I have to give it up to Renegade because they're kind of bucking the trend. They're putting together a game that they're saying, hey, it's going to take you 2 hours to play it. And I like that because I'm getting really tired where, God forbid, somebody designs a game that takes more than 45 minutes to play. I just don't have that kind of time in my life. Sure you do. Get your face out of the phone. You got plenty of time to play games. Quit surfing Twitter and nonsense like that. Quit updating Facebook with shit you ate for lunch. Then you'd have plenty of time to play games that take longer than 45 minutes. So there. Oh, and don't worry, I'm not in a bad mood. I mean, to be saying that just made you think Jeff must be in a bad mood. Gotta watch out. No, I'm in a good mood. Just say it. Because I hear it from people, I don't have time to, 45 minutes is about all I can spare to play a game. It's like, get out of here. It's like, jeez. All right. So there is a little bit of discussion about Slytherin, and their games were 32-bit. Grady mentions the fact that the game isn't hitting retail does not provide confidence in supporting the app. I'll tell you what, before we jump into French and Indian War tonight, we'll talk a little bit about distributors. We're not going to go into a ton, but there are some things going on with distributors recently that you may not be necessarily aware of. So we'll talk a little bit. So Gary says that they like the idea of the game, but the price and being app-driven, going to have to do some research. I honestly think that the reason why it's hit the 2,500% funding is, as I think a grade A mentioned this, because chat's kind of zipping by pretty quick. I think a grade A was the one who mentioned the FOMO. And I think that's what's driving a lot of these people to pledge this game is, oh my gosh, well, if I won't be able to buy it in a store, so I better back it here. Once again, sounds like a cool game. I like the concept. Sounds interesting. Don't know. We'll see what's going on. All right. Anyway, so it is Wargame Wednesday. We are going to be looking at French and Indian War from Worthington in a moment. But how about some wargaming news? Because, yes, there's another new war game that's up on the GMT Games P500, and it is, get ready for a lot of mispronunciation here. It is the Pure Land Onin War in Muromachi, Japan, 1465 to 1477. Here's the scoop. The Pure Land Onin War in Muromachi, Japan, 1465, 1477, which just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Is volume 14 of the Coin series, originally designed by Boku Runki. It depicts a devastating civil war in 15th century Japan that reduced Kyoto to a smoldering ruin and precipitated the century-long warring states period, the Sengoku Jidai. Against the backdrop of this civil war between coalitions led by the Hosokawa and Yamana clan, the game also features peasant revolts led by the Jizumari and religious unrest involving the Iko Iki. Told you. I'm sure I've mispronounced all this. Well, not Kyoto, I know I pronounced correctly. In Japan. The militant wing of the emerging Yodo Shinshu, the true Pure Land Buddhist sect. Here's some of the highlights. an innovative clan loyalty system that creates a dynamic political geography. The Hosokawa and Yamana factions form alliances with other clans, which can then be disrupted by political intercessions, peasant revolts, and everybody's favorite, assassinations. There's a tight peasant-based economy that forces all factions to compete over limited resources. Peasants generate resources for the Jizumurai, which are then taxed, tithed, or confiscated away by the other factions. It's a new approach to religious insurgency and peasant revolts using the coin system. The Ikoichi faction slowly spread their religious beliefs and are hard to eliminate, while both the Ikoiki, I think it's Iki, and the Jizumari can trigger peasant revolts to further their own goals. Two competing government factions that must nonetheless cooperate to ensure the survival of the Ishikara shogunate. Support for the Ishikaga dynasty is a shared goal for both the Yamana and the Hosokawa, but only one faction can control the shogunates and claim victory. So here's some faction descriptions for far more mispronunciations. The Hosokawa clan represents the political establishment and must encourage support for the Ishikaga shogunate while also maintaining the loyalty of the other major clans. The Yamana clan also want to encourage support for the shogunate, but at the same time must gain control of enough population to establish themselves as the dominant military power. The Jizamare, minor nobles and merchants, can encourage peasant revolts to build regional autonomy while also trading to increase their own independent wealth. The Ikoiki can preach to reduce support for the shogunate and to spread their religious beliefs while also radicalizing the population to eventually overthrow the established order. Do want to mention there is a lot more to this over on the GMT Games website. I just didn't want to spend the time I usually devote to Paizo's Pathfinder and Starfinder releases to a single game. The Pure Land Oninwara in Muromachi, Japan, or Muromachi, Japan, 1465, 1477 is for 1 to 4 players. Ages 14 and up. Right now, it can be pre-ordered for $64. When this ends up in retail, if it receives enough backers, it will carry an MSRP of $92. So you can jump on board and get a pretty sweet deal. I got to say, I love the fact that we've got another coin game that's going to tackle a period of history that you don't see tackled a lot. I think this is really, really interesting because this is actually before the period of war to unify Japan. Gosh, I always forget how to pronounce the name. Is it Nukrabunda or something? I know I was wrong on that. But this actually kind of kicked off that whole period of Japanese history. So JP Falconer says that they're waiting for a coin game for the Russian Civil War in its entirety. That could be interesting. I know originally my buddy John Welsh, who was, he really hasn't done any new game designs in a while. I interviewed him not too long ago. You may have checked that out for the Kickstarter they were doing for one of his game releases. They were doing a deluxe edition. But he had been working on a coin game for the Irish Troubles. And it was going to be called A Terrible Beauty. And it sounded really good. And then that was it. Didn't happen. I know John's worked on quite a few different games for various companies that just never came to fruition. One of them, I still somehow in the pipeline, and it's at GMT, and it's called Mr. President. And it's supposed to simulate you as a solitaire player being the president of the United States and having to try to get your own platform through and things like that, and, you know, different dilemmas that pop up. And it sounded awesome, sound fantastic, but it might be one of those games that we never see. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because there is a new bundle of holding that's arrived. This time out, it features Dusk City Outlaws from Scratchpad Publishing. Here's the dope. Outlaws! This Dusk City Outlaws bundle presents, you guessed it, Dusk City Outlaws, the tabletop fantasy role-playing game from Scratchpad Publishing about criminal cartels in the sprawling metropolis of New Dunhaven. As thieves, con artists, and assassins from 8 colorful cartels, you take on a job, devise your own plan, do the legwork, pull off the heist, and then, you hope, survive long enough to get paid. Funded in a popular January 2017 Kickstarter campaign, Dusk City Outlaws gives you fast-paced, one-shot adventures you can play with near zero preparation. No, I don't know. We've talked about zero prep in role-playing games before, gang. Usually doesn't turn out as good as it should. Anyway, this is Lord of the Rings meets Ocean's 11. For just $7.95, you get all 5 titles in the starter collection with a retail value of $35, including the complete Dusk City Outlaws core game, which was previously in the November 2018 Indie Cornucopia 6 from Bundle of Holding, and 4 jobs ready for your crew: the Canal Job, the Gunpowder Job, the Stone Setter Job, and the Masquerade Job. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $18.58, you'll level up and get the entire bonus collection with 10 more titles worth an additional $57, including the Turf Wars campaign expansion, no less than 8 more ready-to-play jobs, and an offbeat horror-themed adventure, The Zombie Job. These savings all run through May 17th. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. Nice. I gotta say, I know absolutely nothing about Dusk City Outlaws. Zip, zero, zilch, nothing. So, I would take a guess. Now, this is just a guess, because I'm sure people were role players out there are thinking, yeah, but isn't this just like Band of Blades? I get the feeling that this game probably has a lighter tone. I don't think its tone is as dark. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I don't know. So there is some discussion going on about various different coin games. So Doug Roberts is asking, what's a coin game? Does that mean I have to change? So coin is just, it's counterinsurgency. It's insurgency, counterinsurgency. That's really all it is. It's a series from GMT. There's some that are very they're all in depth, but there are some that are far more complicated than others. I tell people all the time, if you would like to get into a coin series and get a feel for it, in my opinion, I think Cuba Libre is the best. It's a smaller footprint, and I don't know. It's just to me, I thought it was the easiest one to actually get into and start playing, especially with other people who have not played coin games. All right. Anyway, so Disavowed says they can't wait for the coin game on Mars. So if anybody knows anything about Dusk City Outlaws in chat, by all means, let me know, because I am kind of curious. I also thought it was kind of strange how, as I'm showing these different images of the various different jobs, the adventures, the only book I saw that has like any characters on it is this one right now. That's the core book. Everything else is kind of like, like a cityscape or, down an alleyway. And thought that was a little different. So yes, Disavowed is talking about that coin game is Red Dust Rebellion. And that was on P500 a while back. It funded. So hopefully we will see that at some point in the future. All right, my final news piece. The first adventure for the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 system has arrived. Here's the skinny on Operation Vanguard from Modiphius Entertainment. Discover the secret of Skellin Island. It's August 1940, and from the small Dutch fishing town of Nijmegen, reports reach Britain's Section M of a strange installation being constructed on nearby Skellin Island. Not Skull Island, Skellin Island. They also confirmed the presence of Nachtwolf, the Night Wolves, a Nazi occult organization devoted to weird science and eldritch technology, who are said to rival Black Sun itself. I'm taking a guess they're werewolves. Just, my take on this, right? Seizing the opportunity, Section M dispatches a covert team by submarine to learn more about Nachtwolf's plans. Once in situ, the agents must contact the fledgling local resistance and gather detailed intelligence. Why are Nachtwolf here? What happened to the forbidden site near the Arn River? What are these Night Wolves doing at St. Olaf's Lighthouse? The agents must piece together several component parts of this mystery before finding a way to approach the heavily guarded Skellin Island itself. There, they'll encounter advanced technology, strange, modified creatures, and face a deranged Nachtwolf commander intent on completing a bizarre bio-experiment. Spoilers! Before confronting the horrifying truth which lies at the heart of Installation 41 itself. Also want to go, dun, dun, dun. Overshadowing all is the malice of an ancient undersea race who, provoked beyond measure by the unwise machinations of man, are now ready to strike. A fearsome foe to contend with in Operation Vanguard, a brand new mission for the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 RPG. Operation Vanguard is actually a direct sequel to A Quick Trip to France, the free Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 quick start for GMs looking to run a continuing narrative campaign. This features a 29-page full-color PDF with a daring mission for 4 to 5 audacious agents set deep behind enemy lines with full enemy profiles, NPCs, maps, and handouts. Action, investigation, and mayhem abound as players first cross swords with Nachtwolf and become embroiled with the Deep Ones. Once again, big spoiler, a major mythos power. Playable with the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 Quick Start rules, although the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 core books are recommended. Although, I have to laugh, they say that, but those core books don't come out until this summer. So, they could have just said you could play it with the Quick Start, and when they come out, then you could certainly change the, the page on Drive-Thru RPG. Anyway, Modiphius hopes you enjoy this first episode of the ongoing Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 missions and look for a new mission next month. This 29-page PDF is available over at Drive-Thru RPG for $6.99. So Disavow's asking, what's the system? Seriously, how many times did I say Achtung Cthulhu 2D20? What, five or six times? What the hell is this for? What the hell is this game? What is this? One of them there role playing games? Is that what this is? So yes, this is the new edition of. As I start saying that, a Grade A says it's the new edition of Achtung Cthulhu, because Octon Cthulhu originally was built on basic role-playing called Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc., which it is no longer the case. I kind of get the feeling that Chaosium, and I have absolutely no issues whatsoever with Chaosium. They always treat me really nicely. Anytime I ask for something, they send it. In fact, we are going to be looking at some Call of Cthulhu stuff very shortly. In fact, next week we'll start taking a peek. But I think they might be kind of tricky to work with as far as the licensing for, we'll just call it basic role playing, because it really isn't it's not Call of Cthulhu as a system, because RuneQuest actually is the first role playing game that utilized the mechanics that are used in Call of Cthulhu. So of course, just the generic like GURPS-ish Chaosium role-playing system is basic role-playing. So JP Falconer says the P500 solo game called Mr. President. Yes. That's on P500. I wonder how long it's been on P500. So I don't think it's been added recently. One thing I will mention with GMT, these new entries into the P500 have very little to go on outside of the descriptions of what these games are. Very few images, which is kind of surprising because usually they'll give you a better look at like the prototype maps and the counters and sometimes the cards. Today's game actually had a little bit more than most recently. So I don't know. We've talked about the whole kind of play testing and game development quandary of GMT Games releases. So not going to rehash that again. Once again, another company really, really like. I have no issues with GMT, but having talked to some designers and things like that, it's basically most companies, they will assign you a game developer to work with. And GMT's kind of like, well, yeah, go get your own. So Great A says there are more reprints on P500 than new games. I'll tell you one thing. There is a P500 right now, and I think it just hit, and it is for the next print run for Twilight Struggle. So if you do not have Twilight Struggle, which is one of my all-time favorite board games, and a vast number of people feel the same way, this might be the time to grab it, because you'll actually be able to save money over the retail price. I think the P500 price is $59. So JPF says that Mr. President has made the cut with over 2,000 backers. Well, that's cool. Like I said, it sounded like a really cool game. And I know John had worked on it, and then they were changing it so much. It's a long story. It's a personal story. I don't want to say things that I shouldn't be saying, but John Welsh did start working on that, and then it ended up with other people. So I don't know how many times it switched designers in that. All right. So a Great A asks, was there ever a Kickstarter collector's edition of Twilight Struggle? I don't think it was on Kickstarter. I think it was just you bought it through GMT, and it looked really cool. I think it was $200, something like that. I did not have an opportunity to pick it up. So, but I don't think they Kickstarted. I think they just did a print run and said, here you go. We're going to do, here's the big collector's edition. We're not going to do this again. If you want it, come and get it. I don't think they had too many copies. I think they ran like maybe 500, because a lot of people don't realize GMT does not, I say it all the time whenever we're looking at GMT Games. They don't run huge print runs. So as an example, so we've got JPF is saying that Mr. President has over 2,000 backers, pre-orders for it, because it's pre-orders. It's really a pre-order system. So I would think they might do a 3,000 game print run. Probably not much more than that. So if you think about it, that's not a lot. But that's why, if you go and you shop at your friendly local game store and you see a GMT game that you want, better buy it, because it's not going to last. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to jump in. We're going to be taking a look at the French and Indian War from Worthington Publishing in just a minute. But did want to mention on May 1st, I am rolling out, it's just going to be a link, because I have people ask from time to time, how can they support the gaming gang? And why don't I have a Patreon and stuff like that? And to me, I've said it before, just like when people have done like a super chat donation, I'm like, ooh, I thank you so much, but don't do that. Because like Patreon takes such a huge chunk out of that. YouTube, the same thing with the super chat. They take a huge chunk out of it. I think it's less than the 50% now. Not by a lot, but originally it was like 50%. I was like, wow, that's dirty pool, people. So I am going to have a PayPal me link. So if you're interested in buying me a cup of coffee or bottle of, Pepsi Max, there'll be that for you. And I'm going to look to try to do some contests, but only for people who do support. So a Great A says, use the drive-through RPG banner on the website. Yes. I know I usually mention that after we're talking about drive-through RPG. So there was some discussion about the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20. The quick start is free. So if you do go to drive-through RPG, you can get the 2D20 kickstart, or I should say quick start kickstart, absolutely free. It's just this new adventure has a cost. And when summer rolls around, the 2D20 Achtung Cthulhu is going to have 2 core books, Investigator's Guide and Game Master's Guide. So that are those. I got to be honest, I don't know if I'll see them. Now, here's the weird thing. I got a copy of this adventure sent to me through drive-through RPG because it's only out in PDF. But as far as like the physical books and that, I don't really see that from Modiphius anymore. So I don't know. June new. And as I pointed out before, I do not review PDFs unless it's a Kickstarter and somebody has paid me to do a custom video for them. Then yes, I will cover PDF. But other than that, no, I don't. All right. Anyway, so I wanted to throw out that PayPal me. It's just going to be easy. It's just paypal.me/gaminggang. Pretty exciting. All right. So we were talking a little bit about distributors. And it looks to me like a lot of distributors are losing their stranglehold on like publishing, especially comic books, and probably also with board games as well. A Great Ace pointing out John Tiller passed away. I was going to mention that towards the end of the show. I did tweet that earlier today as well. If you play computer war games, so, and I'm talking grognard computer war games, then you probably remember HPS, the simulations. You probably remember JT Software. So those were really good war games. They didn't have a lot of graphical flash and sound and things like that, but there was a hell of a lot of gameplay. So yes, John Tiller passed away a couple of days ago at the age of 67. So I believe it was brain cancer, and it was pretty quick. Which I guess if you got to go, that's the way to go. Let's not dawdle, folks. I don't want to be sitting around, fading away for a couple of years. I wouldn't certainly want to do that. No, thank you. So yes. Anyway, so I've noticed it seems like distributors are starting to lose their power, and especially with tabletop games, we are also starting to see more distributors pop up. So, for example, if you were, say, a comic company and you wanted to get your comic books into a comic store, you basically had two options. You could go through Diamond, or you could sell your comics directly to that retailer. Yeah, lots of luck with that, right? Now, of course, yes, there was another comic book distributor that had been around, Alliance, but they had kind of died out for the most part. Now we've seen DC has left Diamond as far as Diamond being their exclusive distributor. Marvel is leaving Diamond as well. So they're actually, if I remember correctly, I think they're going through like Random House. It was something totally bizarre. So I was like, what? They're going to be distributed through Penguin Books, something like that. I was like, what? No doubt it's some corporation that Disney probably owns. But we are seeing more Kickstarters pop up where they're like not going to go through retail. You got to go through them. We have some game companies that will maybe that they can't get distribution. I don't know, but you can only get their games either directly through them, or retailers have to order directly from them. So I think we're seeing kind of like I said, stranglehold that distributors had over, I guess we'll say like geek culture, starting to slip. And I think it's good. I honestly do. I think it's good. I don't necessarily think it's good when a Kickstarter is basically pumping in a bunch of backers because everybody's afraid they're not going to be able to get the game. So anyway, Great A says, pick any process stream and there will be 5 people trying to insert themselves in it somewhere to make money. That is true. All right, John Vogel's rocking out. Geez, John just says I'm going to open up French and Indian War. I know, this has been a long show. I told you it was going to be a big show. Good to see you, John. We will catch you next time. Casey Board Gamers has rolled in. Good to see KC hanging out. All right. So if you are watching after the fact, you are going to be seeing a quick advertisement right about now. Just bear with it. For the rest of us who are doing this live or watching this live, we are going to jump on into French and Indian War from Worthington Publishing. Designed by Mike and Grant Wiley with artwork provided by Sam Cook. The game is for 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 2 hours, and carries an MSRP of $70. And of course, the fine folks over at Worthington Publishing were kind enough to send me this review copy. This is not a review, of course. It is an unboxing because it's still in shrink. Be pretty tough for me to do a review, don't you think? I find the French and Indian War an interesting topic. I really do. And there really aren't a lot of games that do tackle the French and Indian War, otherwise known as the 7 Years' War in Europe. Only place it's known as the French and Indian War. Sorry, a bug just flew past and I was like, what the hell is that doing in here? Kind of distracted me for a second. Anyway, the only place that it's called the French and Indian War is in North America. So, all right. So it says the French and Indian War is a strategic game on that conflict in America between 1757 and 1759. One side commands the British and its allies, while the other commands the French and its allies. Much like the actual war, the object of the game is for the British player to control enough crucial locations in New France to win the war. The French goals are to protect New France while pursuing its strategy of gaining territory in the American colonies. So as you can see, it uses blocks. It uses a board or a map with point-to-point movement. So kind of similar to the Columbia games that are out there, the Columbia Fog of War block games. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a Fog of War. I would think we probably will. All right, so we got some baggies. We have a score sheet. Looks like we might score every round, every year. I don't know. We're going to find out. So we've got the game rules. And once again, we saw this with Bulge 1944 or 1944 Bulge. The two copies of the rules. So you can give a copy of the rules to a buddy. Say, all right, hey, look this over. We'll play next week or tomorrow, what have you. So we got those two. So let's take a look at the rules. All right. Not a big rule book. I'll tell you that right now. So Worthington games tend to not be super complex. They tend to be fairly easy to jump into. Disavow says you can never have enough Bulge games. I disagree with that. I certainly do. But 1944 Bulge or Bulge 1944, depending on how you want to pronounce it, is pretty unique. I have been messing around with it. So I got to be honest. I wish it had a different look as far as its counters. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about French and Indian War. So we've custom dice. So it shows us the historical setup, giving us a sequence of play. Moving armies, naval battles, army battles, retreating from battle, winter attrition, and how to win. Says victory is determined at the end of a year before the winter attrition phase. Either side wins if they have 10 more victory points than their opponent at the end of a year in 1757 or 1758. If at the end of the game in 1759, if the British have not earned a victory, then the French have won. So we've got simultaneous hidden movement. I assume you'd be jotting down your move from what location. There we go, right there. So that's giving us an idea how to write hidden movement. That's kind of interesting. And playing the game solitaire. So there's actually a bot for you to be able to play solitaire. Then on the back, we've got a little bit of a player aid. We've got the map, which has abbreviations for if you want to jot down the hidden movement, showing us location effects in battle sequences. Cool. All right, so those are the rules. Then we've got a sheet of stickers. Oh, actually, we've got more than one. Looks like we've got two. Got two sheets of stickers here. We'll zoom in a sec. We'll take a look at those in a moment. Because looks like we've got our Looks like we've got a player aid board, kind of. Then we got the game board. So we'll take a look at these, and then I will zoom in, and we'll take a closer look at those units. So this isn't a super huge board. And here I can see this is the British facing side right here. And that is the French player facing side. So we're going to track our years. We're going to track our turns. We're going to track victory points for eliminated French units, victory points up here for eliminated British units. And I'll show you the other half of the board here. So this is 4 panels long. But you're not going to need too much space on the table to play. So that is the board there. This is the player aid, and this is actually thick cardstock. I was like, nice, that's cool. Like that. So here's our British historical setup, our French historical setup, and freeform setup if you want to play that way. Got reinforcements for the British and the French. We have a tray, a counter tray with our blocks, our markers. We've got some cubes here, some black cubes. So we're going to be tracking the year, the round, eliminated units for victory points. So we've got our cubes here, our blocks, I guess I should say. And if you played any of the block games for Columbia Games, then you would certainly see very, very similar. So Disavowed says, this looks interesting, but I'm still chewing through Bayonets and Tomahawks. Yes, my review of Bayonets and Tomahawks is coming soon, probably within the next week. I want to play it one more time. And as I mentioned before, war games are just very difficult for me to get people to the table right now. But now that Elliot has gotten both his vaccine shots, and so is his wife, we're going to be able to get together a little more often. His wife will not be as freaked out. So, all right, let's get a closer look. There we go. So we've got these custom dice. And they are printed on. They are not cut. But, so we got a regular 6-sided die. So here we have, it looks like that's supposed to be the British, British, French, ships, troops, Native Americans. What else we got on here? What am I missing? Oh, guessing. So, okay, so I'm guessing, taking a shot here, fortress or forts. So when you're attacking a fort, you probably need to roll one of these icons in order to do any damage to units in the fort. That's probably a hit from native forces. That's a hit probably from the British or French or militia. Don't know. So there we have English, the French, and ships. So those are the dice. That's pretty cool. Kind of interesting. They look like they're all the same. So unlike, say, an Academy game where, gosh, now I can't even remember the name. I think it's 1757. I always forget the exact year title of it. I think it's 1757. Where depending on what sort of unit it is, you're rolling different dice and stuff like that. So Flaming Huron has joined us in chat. Mentions that his dad is back in the hospital. I'm sorry to hear that. I did not realize his father was in the hospital in the first place. So all the best to your dad. I hope he's going to be okay. All right, so I'm going to put that stuff away here. And then we'll take a look at the stickers for the cubes. So this is a Kickstarter exclusive British Soldier label set. So I get, you know what? I guess that would have been just one sheet of stickers. Those are pretty nice. I like counters that actually like show the the soldiers and stuff like that. I don't want the iconography. To me, I find it boring. So Disavowed says it's 1754. There we go. Thank you. And 1812. Yeah, 1812. I introduced a bunch of people who were designers for Victory Point Games back in the day. So anyway. So here we have that. And this is the standard sticker set, which these are cool too. I like these. Yeah, this has to be militia. These have to be militia units here. Like so. All right. Now you have to decide which set of which set of stickers you want to do. Magicus is joining us in chat. I believe this is the first time that they have popped in to visit with us. Welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. So very cool. I think I'm going to use these stickers because they're Kickstarter exclusives. Disavowed says the same thing. Likes these as well. Patchwork Pictures is hanging out with us too. I think this is PP's first time joining us in chat, or at least saying hello with us. So yeah, both these sticker sheets look pretty good. The blocks look a little smaller than the Commands and Colors blocks from the GMT Games. All right, so let's put all this stuff back. And we've got the tray. We've got the 2 sheets of stickers. We've got the board, the map. We got the very, very cool. See, and even this, we didn't look at the back of this. I assumed that was just, I'll pull back out a little. I had assumed this was just that. But it turns out it's once you're done with the setup, this is the player aid with the battle sequence, retreats, and you have this facing the French player down here. And then you would have this facing the British player. Nice. And once again, as I mentioned, this is nice, thick cardstock. This is not just, you know what I'm talking about. The cardstock we get with a lot of player aids that are real kind of flimsy. So, and then of course we got the score sheet. And that is what we find. Whoops. Don't forget the baggies. So what we find when we take everything from French and Indian War outside the box from Worthington Publishing. I will hopefully get a review of this out relatively soon, hopefully maybe a month or so. But as I mentioned already, it's a little tough, especially with my nephew Cameron leaving for basic training, because he would play some of the later war games with me as well. So he won't be back for an extended period until November. So I think I get to see him for about a week when he comes back from basic. I think he gets like a week back home. And we'll probably get the game a little bit. So, all right, cool. Very nice. French and Indian War, once again, is from Worthington Publishing, designed by Mike and Grant Wiley, artwork provided by Sam Cook. This is for, well, we saw it's 1 or 2 players because there was a little thing about solitaire bots. Ages 14 and up, plays around 2 hours, and carries an MSRP of $70. Very cool. This about says, I think it's time for a weekend road trip to Illinois. The funny thing is, for folks who like watch the show or, you know, visit the website, because a lot of people who visit the website don't necessarily watch the show. I get it. I say it all the time. I'm not everybody's bag of tricks. I get it. But I would not mind, like, for people who lived maybe in the Chicago area to try to arrange to do some gaming together. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be not too shabby. Okay, so those of you who follow me on Twitter, I'm going to wrap up in just a moment. But those of you who follow me on Twitter know that I floated out there. I was kind of curious what game that people would want to see me do a review of. Mutant Crawl Classics or Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. And if you watch the show, I mentioned this yesterday, and I didn't realize, I thought Tunnels and Trolls was out of stock because all the online retailers say it's out of stock. And I've seen it. So Gary goes, Tunnels and Trolls. Yes, I saw it, man. How many votes do you want to try to get in there, Gary? You trying to stuff the ballot box? Anyway, so I'm thinking it's out of stock. It's out of print. So I contacted the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Twitter account, who follows me and I follow it. And it turns out it's not sold out. It is still available through Flying Buffalo Games. But Flying Buffalo Games, their website is a disaster. I don't know. But I decided I'm going to review both. And I got Mutant Crawl Classics today through Amazon. Little miffed because there's a little bit of a dent down here because it was packed like crap. It was in a box far too big for it, and there was just one little thing of the inflated plastic, and that was it. So this got banged around, but I also paid like $10 less than what Goodman Games charges on their website. So I was like, okay, all right. I'm not going to complain too much. So got this. I am looking at ordering Tunnels and Trolls. But like I said, I really don't want to order it off of the Flying Buffalo website. And it's funny. I had mentioned to the person, because I guess the person who runs Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Twitter account is just like a big fan. And they kind of do it as a favor because, of course, Rick Loomis had passed away. And Flying Buffalo is like 3 people now. So, Flaming Hero says, yeah, that's pretty piss weak. But you still hope it comes in undamaged. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I'm not gonna send it back. It was I thought I saw something on the back of it, but I guess not. So it's a $39.99 book. And if I had ordered it from Goodman Games, probably would have been based on what they charged me for shipping for the first time fan kit, which hasn't even shipped out yet. Printed up the label for it yesterday, but it has not shipped. I tell you. Good thing I like that role-playing game, because I'd be like, motherfucker. Anyway, I got this on Amazon. It was 31 and free shipping. So I am not going to complain about a little ding. I can live with it. So I will have a review of that in the near future. I will have my review of Dungeon Crawl Classics probably within 48 hours of that book arriving, because I've read it. I've gone through it. I'm ready to do a review. Just I don't review PDFs because it's a boring video. So what's coming up on tomorrow's show as well as into next week? First off, tomorrow it's role-playing games. So we are going to take a look at Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, Soulbound, the starter set from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. And I gotta say, if this is anything like the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set, this is going to be excellent. This has an MSRP of $29.99. I have not really checked out Soulbound. That has been the forte of Sammy Uhas, who does PDF reviews for the Gaming Gang. She's reviewed the core book, but this is going to be the first time I get to share with you an unboxing for this starter set here. So, and I did not realize that it is a D6 based system. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So that's on tomorrow's show. Monday's show, got to reach over and grab it. We are going to take a look at the Not Alone collection from Stronghold Games. So we're going to take a look at, I'm going to do unboxings of the core game, the Sanctuary expansion, as well as the Exploration expansion as well. So we're going to look at all three of those. That's on Monday's show. Tuesday's show, we're going to take a look at Dragon Realm, which is from Renegade Games. So we're going to take a peek at that. And then on Wednesday's show, we're going to do something a little bit different. It is going to be a war game, but we're going to actually take a look at Barbarossa, which this is the historical photography edition of this game, because this is actually a Japanese game. It's in English, but it's a Japanese game. And originally it was based on, I think it's based on an anime or manga, and a lot of fan service kind of stuff. So this doesn't have that. And I think this is available through Japanime Games. Then next Thursday, I'm not sure. I am not sure what we'll do next Thursday. Maybe we will do a pace through and take a look at Mutant Crawl Classics. I am going to share my reviews of, one sec, I'll grab it. I had this upstairs, so I had to bring it back down. So I have Death on the Reich and the Death on the Reich Companion, and I have read the PDFs. I will have reviews of these up. I don't have the Companion down here. It's upstairs. But I will have reviews of those very shortly. Those are two of the reviews I'm hoping to at least shoot over the weekend. I'm gonna get the Death on the Reich review out this weekend. I also have Unforgiven, the Lincoln assassination trial, which is from Green Feet Games. I did a Kickstarter preview of that. Thought it was excellent. I am also going to be sharing that review as well. So I've got a lot of stuff cooking. Lots of stuff cooking. So Flaming Heron says, make sure to make the next show from the start. So they're going to make sure that they can get to the next show from the start. Whenever anybody shows up, that's cool. I'm used to starting off the show with maybe 2 or 3 people in chat. And then by the time the show ends, maybe we've got 10 people. So that's cool. That's fine with me. Watch it whenever you want. All right. Like I said, long show tonight. I knew it was going to be a long show. Anyway, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the dispatch airs live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of The Rat Catcher, which is from Platypus Industries. And I just got done telling you about a bunch of other reviews that are on the horizon as well. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, if you forgot who I am. If you were watching live, thank you so very much. I always appreciate people taking time out, even if they hang out for the last 10 minutes of the show. Doesn't matter. I always appreciate people coming by to help keep me company while I pontificate into the ether. But I also know there are a lot of people out there who don't have an opportunity to watch live. And I appreciate you just as well. Thank you so much, anybody who takes time out to catch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. I will be back tomorrow. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night, Thursday morning, or whatever day it happens to be that you're watching this. And as I wrap up all of my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope each and every one of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching. And everybody, please wear a mask.